I absolutely hate Batman Arkham Knight. Hate me yet? Good. Stick around to the rest of the video to see why exactly I hate it. First of all, I'd like to get this out of the way. It's a beautiful game. The graphics look beautiful. The reflections, the rain effects, the face models, the character models, everything is perfect. This game came out in 2015, and to this day it still holds up and looks better than even modern games. That is an insane achievement that Rocksteady accomplished. I mean, even if you guys look at the new Gotham Knights game, it looks pretty bad compared to Batman Arkham Knight, and they are way far apart in terms of when they released. The gameplay, too, is the best that it's ever been. The combat is very fluid and satisfying and just so much fun. The Predator maps have been very nicely redone. I'm not just doing inverted takedowns all the time. I'm actually doing different ways to lure enemies into places and take them down, which is just awesome. Every single part of Batman's mechanics and movements and actions feel like they've been polished and retouched. Everything down to the boring ground takedowns now look really cool and are fun to watch in this game. But here's my issue. Let's use an analogy of a painter that's the most talented painter you've ever seen. He could paint these very hyper-realistic paintings. And let's say that the one painting with all these talents that he decided to paint was a painting of a rotten banana peel. That's pretty unfortunate because he has this talent. He can convey so much emotion through some sort of painting, and he decides to paint a banana peel. With such an incredible achievement, he paints that. That's how I view this game. Let's get into that. My biggest issue is with the story. Think about Batman Arkham City. Why did that win Game of the Year? Yes, the gameplay was so much fun, but part of that was that it had an incredibly awesome story. It was so much fun to watch. It was gut-wrenching. It was emotional. Joker's death at the end was really, really well done. Very brave decision from Rocksteady. And the overall vibe of Arkham City, Hugo Strange, Protocol 10 was just so fun. You always felt like you had this impending doom with Protocol 10, you know. Arkham Knight didn't really feel like that. Arkham Knight, okay, yeah, so Scarecrow's gonna release his toxin, and we stop him at Ace Chemicals, but then he has like a backup plan. Part of the reason I didn't feel much weight to this is because the city was already pretty much evacuated. So I felt like the stakes weren't really there. I mean, everyone's gone, right? So the toxin would just evaporate eventually, and what? You know, I didn't really feel that weight. Now, at Ace Chemicals, at that point, the toxin was going to cover the whole eastern seaboard. That was important. But then when we stop him at Ace Chemicals, then the toxin just covers Gotham. And that didn't really feel like that much of an issue. The Arkham Knight is probably my biggest issue with this game. I mean, that is the title villain. His name is in the title of the game. I expect him to be very well done, and he wasn't. I mean, we barely see him in this game. Here and there, he'll jump out from nowhere and stop us or shoot us or immobilize us or trap us and say some snarky line about how he knows something about us suspiciously, but it was just not well done. For one thing, if they were going to have the Arkham Knight have a true secret identity, have it be someone already from the Arkhamverse, because if you're going to shoehorn in a brand new character that we've never seen before in any of these games, if you're going to show that in Jason Todd, then we can figure out pretty easily that, oh, that's the Arkham Knight, because why are we seeing Jason Todd in these dumb flashbacks? And that was so disappointing. I mean, for a rated M game, Rocksteady definitely knew that their base of players was going to be a bit older, and they just give us the worst reveal ever. That was the most disappointing thing ever. They also did a lot of telling, not showing. I didn't really see much of Jason Todd's torture. I mean, like, yeah, we see Joker kind of hit him and pretend to shoot him, but other than that, he was just constantly saying that, oh man, yeah, he tortured me, blah, blah, blah. I didn't really feel that. So I would really like to know how that happened and also Jason's journey to get from there to here as the Arkham Knight. How did he get from that broken soul in the Arkham Asylum all the way to becoming this military commander with all these forces and all these artillery? It's insane, and we don't know anything about that. He has a resolution towards the end. He helps Batman get freed by shooting the bracelet to let Batman free his hand. But no words were exchanged by them. We never really see Jason have a change of heart beforehand. He's just kind of there. We don't even see his face. He has his mask on. Arkham Knight was done pretty awfully. I also just did not like Scarecrow that much. They had these beautiful scare sections in Arkham Asylum where you start to question whether or not your reality is the reality or if you're losing your mind. You gradually just descend into madness as you then let the fear toxin take over you, and completely cloud your vision. They had nothing like that in this game, which is such a bummer. The best they had was Joker. We get infected by the toxin, and all that we really see is Joker over and over and over again. Now, I loved Rocksteady making that gutsy decision to kill Joker in the last game, or in 2 games ago in Arkham City. But then they brought him back as a hallucination, which is fine. But I think he was so overused. Every single corner, every single vent you climb into, he's always in our ear, always talking, and it just got annoying. It really felt as if he hadn't really died in the first place. Mark Hamill does an awesome job in this game, but I'm sorry, I just felt like the Joker was very overused. It was just kind of disappointing for what in the end turned out to be, I guess, the main villain to be the Joker again. I really feel like the Joker was the main villain again. The final battle was not even with Scarecrow. It was within our own psyche with us fighting the Joker. Now that has some clever concepts behind it, but in a superhero video game, I just don't find that nearly as exciting. Scarecrow himself, I guess, was just not that menacing. Here and there, we just see him. He gets a hold of Barbara, and then he gets a hold of Robin and Gordon, but we don't really see how. He kind of just gets these things because I think the game tries to juggle a bit too much. We go from Arkham Knight to Scarecrow to Joker, and Arkham City, we also, go back and forth between villains, but I think it was handled a lot better. Another issue I have with the story is in its finality. A lot of villains like Penguin, Two-Face, Firefly, they all just end up back in jail as if it's just any normal night where the criminals are on the streets and we as Batman put them in jail. No one really died. I mean, yeah, Poison Ivy died, but I didn't really feel that bad for her, and I'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, everyone else just ended up in jail, and we know that they're eventually going to get out of jail and keep doing the crimes, so it didn't really feel like that great of a finality. I'm not asking for all these criminals to die, but just maybe something. Maybe some criminal got permanently disfigured and can't really do crime again, or maybe some criminal left town or something. Just give some sort of finality to some of these criminals at least. Don't just put them all in jail as if it's any random night in Gotham. Now, Poison Ivy's death, I do give Rocksteady some applause for killing off a character. However, this was not a big character by any means. She was there as a Catwoman side mission in Arkham City, and she was one boss battle in Arkham Asylum. Her death would have been a lot better, in my opinion, had she had some sort of change of heart or some sort of character development, but I honestly don't think there was any character development there. Think about it. The only reason that she gave her life was because of the plants. Because the fear toxin stayed, then all her plants would die. She never really realized the value of a human life in the end. She did this for her plants, which, yes, that's in character, but then I'm not really going to feel bad for her when she dies because she's still the same villain. Yes, she has a heart, but it's for her plants, which we already knew. These side missions were another issue I had. Let's talk about Hush. Hush was the most interesting side mission in Arkham City, and one day I'll make a whole video on that. But here, all that build-up in Arkham City just to be one single button press of a counter in this game, and all Hush tried to do was rob Bruce Wayne. That's it. And we just go into the building and we tackle him. That's it. Azrael 2, I think the Azrael side mission was a bit more interesting. We have a choice in the end whether we want to attack Batman or not. But I just found his backstory a little confusing. He was from a cult and they brainwashed him. And maybe this one I'm nitpicking on, but I was expecting something more. Also in the Season of Infamy, we see Mr. Freeze and Ra's al Ghul come back as side villains. For one, I hated this because you had to buy the Season of Infamy separately. They weren't there in the original game. And two, these guys were very interesting in Arkham City. I really would have loved to see them come back and be a part of the main narrative in Arkham Knight. I was looking for them, but they were nowhere to be found. At the end of Arkham City, Ra's al Ghul's body is gone and his sword is stuck in the ground, implying that he will be back. And he was, but not in the way that we were expecting. Mr. Freeze, too, we could have seen something interesting with his fragile alliance with Batman, but we don't really get that in the main story. It's just another side mission of, oh, they took my wife, go find her. And especially with the Lazarus Pit, who knows who could have come back? Probably not Joker, but maybe Clayface, Talia, something. Make it somewhat interesting. Bring back a character from the dead if it brings some sort of emotional weight or some sort of wow factor. But yeah, I was really disappointed to not see these guys in the game. The tie-in between this game and Arkham City was not that much. We don't really know much about what happened to Arkham City. We can read on the newspapers in some section that Wayne Enterprises donates a bunch of money to rebuild Arkham City, but not much in terms of the aftermath, in my opinion. I don't really see much connective tissue between this game and Arkham City. Finally, the boss battles. I am a firm believer that every superhero video game should have boss battles. Considering that it's the very nature of superheroes to have their own villains, it would make sense that those villains have their own powers. Therefore, in a video game medium, I feel like these villains should have their own boss battles. Arkham Origins did this beautifully. Arkham City did this pretty well. Arkham Asylum did this pretty well. Arkham Knight, there were no boss battles. We never fight the Arkham Knight once. We did this lame Predator section where we sneak up under him, grapple up to him, and try to reason with him, but we barely throw any punches or anything. There were no Scarecrow scare missions, as I said earlier, and that was really disappointing. There was a lot of Batmobile chases, that was pretty disappointing. Deathstroke, I was getting ready for one boss battle with Deathstroke, and what it ended up being was a cutscene where he jumps out of his tank and leaps at us, and then we, in the cutscene, we don't no quick time events or anything. In the cutscene, we just take him down and take him to jail in the Batmobile. That's it. That's great. That's absolutely insane. Like, why were there no boss battles? It's so annoying. My final issue is with the Batmobile. Not necessarily the Batmobile itself, but the tank battles. There were way too many tank battles. They were not nearly as fun, and they just got pretty overwhelming at times, if I'm being honest, especially with that one enemy where it locks onto you and shoots a missile that can follow you. I love the Batmobile in terms of its problem-solving aspect of the game, especially in the Ace Chemical set piece. It was really fun using the Batmobile as a gadget, and I think that was very Batman-like. However, the tank battles was too much, but I would have forgiven this if the story was better. But my biggest issue with the game in the end, it was not the Batmobile, it was the story. If I had to say one last thing, the whole marketing of this game was saying be the Batman. I couldn't really feel like I was the Batman without having the Batcave or even seeing Alfred. We don't see Alfred once in this game until the very end. We only hear from him, but we don't actually see him in person. That was disappointing. Nothing like Wayne Manor or the Batcave or anything like that. Yes, we saw it in Arkham Origins, but I would have loved to see it have a return in this game. So that's all for this video. If you have any comments, then please feel free to put it down below. If you disagree with me, I'm more than happy to hear you out because I love debates and I'm so excited to see what you guys think about this video. The goal of this video was to either make you guys hate me or love me. I think more of you guys will hate me because this game has gained some popularity in recent years in terms of audience favor, if that makes sense. But I'm here to just give my what could be a hot take, but I hate this game. Thank you so much, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.